5, we in the last part of the class we started with democratic government, and we were doing the three branches of democratic government. So today we'll start with the second branch of democratic government, that is the executive. Let's see what it says. It says that the president is the head of the country and the commander in chief of the armed forces. Now, here it says that the president is the head of the country and the commander in chief of armed forces, that is the army, the navy, and the air forces. The president, who is the commander in chief, look after armed forces. Whatever comes under the armed forces, the president looks after this: the army, the navy, and the air force. The official residence of the president is the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. And where does the president resides? The president resides in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is situated in New Delhi. She is elected by the members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and legislative assemblies for a period of 5 years. And how the president is elected? President, either he or she is elected by the members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and legislative assemblies. And for the period of how many years? For the period of 5 years. All the bills that are passed by the parliament require his assent in order to become laws. Whatever bills, whatever drafts, rough drafts of laws, okay, or any approval that is needed to be done, that approval is given by the president. Suppose if I'm giving you anything to write, and being your teacher, if you're showing me your homework, it is my duty, it is my responsibility to approve whether the answers which you have written is correct or not. If I'll say it's correct, that means it's correct. But if I'll say that this is not correct, you need to make changes, then you have to do it. So this is the work of the president. Okay. Then, though the president is the head of the country, we have a parliamentary system of government. Therefore, the real power lies with the parliament. So it says that though the president is the head of the country, but we have a parliamentary system and all the powers lies with the parliament. There are many political parties in our country who support different candidates in elections. Now it says that there are many political parties, okay, in our country, and they support different candidates. Political parties are there and different candidates are there. Everyone has their own choice of candidates to support them. Okay. The party which gets the maximum votes gets a majority and forms the government. Now, whichever party gets number of votes, they can form the government. In case a party falls short of this majority, it can join hands with other parties and form the government. Now what happens next is suppose any party, there are two parties, one party received number of votes and they formed a government, but on the other hand there is another party which did not got majority of votes and they failed. Now in that case, what they can do is they can join hand with other parties if they agrees to keep that party, if they agrees to include with themselves, and together they can form their own government. This is known as coalition government. Okay. Now, the party which comes to power proposes a name for the position of the Prime Minister of India. Now, whichever party comes to power, suppose if three parties are there: Bharatiya Janata Party, National Congress Party, and the other party. Okay. Now, suppose if Bharatiya Janata Party won with the number of votes, and National Congress Party did not won with number of votes. They got less number of votes. So who will be the which party will get the number of votes over here? Who got number of votes? The Bharatiya Janata Party got number of votes. So who will deserve the power? The Bharatiya Janata Party deserves all the power in their hand. So what they can do is they can suggest a name for the position of the prime minister. Now, he is sworn in as the Prime Minister by the President of India. He is the head of the government, and that Prime Minister will become the head of the government. The Prime Minister has a special team of ministers. Now, the duty of Prime Minister has his own team of ministers who are called the cabinet ministers. These ministers are assigned various departments. Now, when Prime Minister is working with different ministers and his ministers are appointed in various departments. What are those departments? We'll see. The various departments are Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Human Resource, Ministry of Agriculture, etc. The ministers in the central government have corresponding ministers at the state level. Thus, each state has its own education, home, health minister, amongst other. Now, what happened? The minister in the central government has their own has their own ministers in the state level. Every state has their own education minister, every state has their own home minister, every state has their own health ministers and various other ministers. Okay. Now, similarly, in states, the governor, who is the head of the states, invites the leader of the majority party to form the government for a period of 5 years. The leader of the majority party becomes the chief minister of the state. Every state has a governor and a chief minister. The governor is appointed by the president of India. Now, here what happens? Similarly, in states, what happened? The governor, who is the head of the states. Now, governor is considered to be the head of the state, invites the leader of the majority party. He invites the leaders, all the leaders of the majority party to form the government. Okay, for the period of 5 years. The leader of the majority party, whoever is the leader of the majority party, becomes the chief minister, the CM of the state. Every state has its own CM, and that CM is appointed by governor, and the governor is appointed by the president of India. Okay. Now, the next branch and the third branch of the democratic government is the judiciary. Now, the judiciary is the third branch of the government. People who break laws of our country or indulge in criminal activities are tried in court of law. Every citizen of India has certain rights which are enshrined in the Constitution. We have a judiciary system to protect these rights. The Supreme Court of India is the highest judicial body in our country and is headed by the Chief Justice of India, who is appointed by the President of India. Now, what happened in the judiciary system? Judiciary, as you know, is the third branch of the government. Now, here, the people who break laws of our country or they get involved in any criminal activities. What are the criminal activities? Robbery, killing, then any kind of uncertain things. If they get involved in such cases, the they are tried in the court of law. They have to face the law, they have to face in front of the court, and the what happens in the court, the judgment is passed that what punishment that person has to face for doing uncertain activities. So court is the place where the judgment is taken place. Okay. Now, every citizen of India has certain rights which are enshrined in the Constitution. Now, we have learned in the previous chapter in Constitution that there are several rights which has been given to us, to the citizen of India. And we have a judiciary system to protect these rights, and we have judiciary system to protect all the rights. The Supreme Court of India is the highest judicial body in our country. Now, Supreme Court, this Supreme Court is considered to be the highest judicial body in our country and is headed by the Chief Justice of India. And who is the head of the Supreme Court? Chief is headed by the Chief Justice of India, who is appointed by the President of India. Now, the Chief Justice is appointed by the President of India. Every state has a high court and smaller courts. Now, every state has its own high court and smaller courts at a district level. If a citizen is not satisfied with a decision given at any level, he can appeal to a higher court in his state and eventually also to the Supreme Court of India. If suppose uh, any mischief has happened and that person went to high court for the judgment, if suppose if that person is not really happy with the judgment, he can apply in higher court as well. Or even if he is not happy there also, if even he is not satisfied with the judgment over there also, he can approve his name, or he can also go to the Supreme Court of India. He can appeal there. He can appeal for the judgment to Supreme Court. Okay. Now, these three branches of the government have been constructed in this manner so that they keep a check on each other's power and prevent its misuse. Now, what is the importance of these three branches of democratic government? Its purpose is to check the manners, the behaviors of every citizen that stays in India, so that there so that the people of India can live in peace and harmony, and whatever rights that has been given to them, they don't misuse them. That is why the three branches of democratic government has been constructed. Then, this is a very important features of a democratic system of government, and these three branches are very important for democratic government. If these three things, if these three branches are followed, then only India can be lived in peace and harmony. Okay.